Hello BookTube, Sarah here, and welcome to my channel. Today I am coming to you with the first of, I hope, is going to be many viewer request videos. I put the call out last week during one of my vlogs for any suggestions that you guys had for videos that you'd like to see me do. I am keeping a list, so thank you for everyone who has sent in suggestions so far. And I'm going to try and get to these as often as I can and do some of these types of videos. Like I said, I'm looking for author spotlights or reading recommendations or anything that you guys would like to see. I'm going to continue to do, of course, my standard videos on this channel, my vlogs. I am going to be doing Friday reads starting tomorrow. So the Friday knit night, I'll discuss that in tomorrow's video. You guys will see. I'm going to kind of combine a Friday reads and that. Because I do love doing the Friday reads and I kind of miss them as much as I like doing the knitting stuff. But this is primarily a book channel, which is, you know, kind of why. But anyway, ebook and print book hauls are going to be coming. And of course, I'm going to be doing the anticipated reads videos every month. But I kind of really like this idea of putting in like viewer requests. What is it that you guys want to see me talk about or stuff like that? So here we are. This is going to be the new room. Now, as if you've been watching for a while, you know that we've moved. So this is going to be the new room in the next week and a bit. I think it's 10 days. The movers are going to be here with my bookshelves, which are going to go right behind me. And I'm super, super excited. I cannot wait to get this all set up. So right now, sorry, it's kind of echoey. It's kind of, there's not much to look at, but I promise in the coming weeks, it's going to look much, much better. So as I said, this is a viewer request video. This was requested by Ashley, so thank you, Ashley. And she wanted to hear what my top 5 Jill Shalvis novels are. And I'm like, oh, it's like you're asking me which of my favorite, you know, for my favorite furry four-legged family member is, or who it is. It's whoever's not whining at me currently is the answer to that question. But yeah, no, I actually had not a hard time with this one, but I went through all of the books by her that I've read, and I've read a lot of her books. And I kind of picked what I would consider to be my favorites. This still isn't a true top 5, whereas, you know, this is my least most favorite, this is my most favorite kind of an idea. But these are definitely in the top sphere of books that she has written that I would recommend to anybody. So there are actually 2 holiday books in here as well. I love her holiday romances. They are some of my favorites. But anyway, let's jump in and get started. So, first of all, I'm going to start with I numbered these 5 to 1, but like I said, it's kind of, they could move spots at any time, and any new Jill Shalvis book that I read could easily jump into one of these spots. So the first one that I want to share with you is a book called Jinxed. And this is actually an anthology for the Harlequin Blaze line that was written by, of course, Jill Shalvis, Jackie D'Alessandro, and Crystal Green. And the story that Jill Shalvis wrote was called Together Again. And this is about an accountant by the name of Chloe. And he is a FBI agent named Ian. And it's a really cute story. I mean, the Blaze novels were only a little over 200 pages. So to have 3 of them in a single book, 3 separate stories, you know this one's short. I think I did look this up, and it is available for the Kindle. Not this anthology per se that I've got the picture up here. It's boxed right now, or else I'd show you the physical book. But I do have a copy of this that I ordered off of Thrift Books, mainly because I love the cover so much of this one. But I believe the stories are interconnected, if I remember correctly. It's like 3 friends or something like that. So anyway, this you'd have to find on Thrift Books because there's no digital copy of it. But Jill Shalvis's individual story called Together Again is available for the Kindle. And I believe it says it's like 67 pages long. So it's not very long at all. I'll put a cover of that one up here as well so you guys can see that, what the cover of that one looks like. It was a super cute, super sweet, very quick story. I believe it was one of my first introductions to Jill Shalvis. She wrote a ton of books for the Blaze and Temptation lines for Harlequin. It's where she got her start, I believe. And, you know, the Blaze novels especially fit her so well. I say it every time. I completely miss that imprint because it was so good. I know the Dare line replaced it, but I don't see them as a true replacement of each other because the Dare tends to be a lot darker. It's a darker romance and much more erotic. I mean, Blaze went there. They went very spicy. But there was still this bit of fun and flirtiness and sweetness to the stories, if that makes sense. and you know, which is what the Dare line doesn't have. But yeah, I absolutely recommend this one if you get a chance to check it out, to see some of her earlier work. It was delightful. I think she also wrote a couple of books for the Duets line as well, which was, I think those are available as like ebook novellas as well. So maybe do a search on Amazon for Jill Shalvis ebook novellas and you will not be disappointed. The next one I want to share with you is one of the first Christmas ones. I mentioned there were going to be two, and this is The Trouble with Mistletoe. This is the second book in the Heartbreaker Bay series, and I love the Heartbreaker Bay series. I'm a huge fan of it. I'm a huge fan of all of her series, and at first I thought, oh, I'll recommend the first books in series, but then I kind of wanted to delve a little bit deeper and talk about some of the individual books within a series, except for the next pick, but I'll get into that in a second. So The Trouble with Mistletoe is the story of Willa and, oh, what's his name? Keen. And what I loved about this one is that Keen has been saddled with his aunt's, as he calls it, the feline from hell, all in capital letters. So he's looking after his aunt's cat, and Willa owns the local pet store. And the Heartbreaker Bay series centers around this courtyard where all these friends kind of live within San Francisco. And so they meet, and it's kind of not really an enemies to lovers, but they're not exactly on the best of terms with each other. Takes place over the holidays. They kind of come from different backgrounds, but there's a lot of animals involved in this, and Jill Shalvis is, in my opinion, kind of famous for doing that. Almost all of her books have an animal in it, whether it be a cat or a dog or both or what have you. And this one was absolutely delightful, a great holiday romance. I always say about contemporary romance stories, you don't necessarily have to read them in order. I have read some of the Heartbreaker Bay out of order, and you're really not spoiled for anything. You know in this story that Willa and Keen are going to end up together. I mean, come on, it's a romance. But it's how they get there, which is the delightful part. So yeah, I absolutely love that one. The next one, I did pick a first in the series for this one, only because I love this series so much. And I had a very hard time kind of picking my favorite out of the group, because they're all really stellar books. And this is an older series, and I don't think as many people are familiar with it. I know people are familiar with the Heartbreaker Bay because it's the newest one. And a lot of people are familiar with her Lucky Harbor series, of which I've only actually read 2 of them. But a lot of people got their start with Jill Shalvis with that series because it's a bit of an older series. But the Animal Magnetism series is set in a small fictional town called Sunshine, Idaho. And it centers around a vet's office. So the first 3 stories, I think, are like the vets who work in the office. And then you kind of break off from there and get different characters within the town and within the friendship group. So Animal Magnetism is, the first book, is about a woman by the name of, what's her name? Lila. And his name is Brady. And the two of them are delightful together. The first scene in the book involves Lila showing up at like this convenience store. And in her truck, she has a, what is it? A chick, a duck, puppies, a piglet, and a duck in her truck. And chaos ensues when she ends up meeting Brady. A really cute series. It's got a talking parrot that loves to swear. You know, the parrot's kind of like in all the stories. There's a cat that lives at the shelter or at the vet's office. You know, I'm not doing a good enough job of explaining this other than to say it's delightful. Absolutely delightful. And it was a really, really fun tip of the nose, I felt, to the fans of both the Animal Magnetism series and the Heartbreaker Bay, because one of the characters who appears as like a secondary character in the Animal Magnetism series a bit later on in the series, he ends up making an appearance in another book I'm going to talk about in Heartbreaker Bay. So I think it was a really fun nod to the fans to, you know, have one come from the other. I think that was delightful. So anyway, speaking of that book comes up in second place, and that is Wrapped Up in You. And this is book 8 in the Heartbreaker Bay series. So we jump from book 2 to book 8. This is another Christmas one. I just read this one in November or December of last year because I had it as an e-arc from NetGalley. So I did jump ahead in the series to read this one. Guys, I was not disappointed. This one was so good. This is the story of Ivy. Her name, of course, is Ivy Snow because it's Christmas. And his name is Kel. And Kel was the sheriff in Sunshine, Idaho. So that's where you kind of get this like crossover, if you will. And Ivy has had kind of a really difficult upbringing. And Kel is on vacation in San Francisco. That's the whole reason that he's there. He's only there on vacation. So the two of them kind of start a vacation fling, which of course goes into something more. But the delightful part of this one, and I know this sounds silly, but I just thought it was so charming, is that Ivy owns and runs a taco truck. I remember reading this one last year, and I would be sitting on my lunch break reading it and going, thank goodness I'm eating, because it makes you so hungry when she starts talking about the food she makes in her taco truck. And I'm like, I kept saying to my husband, you know what I'm fancying is tacos. That sounds so yummy right now. But no, this one was so cute. I really enjoyed it. Again, I am a sucker, an absolute sucker for holiday-themed romance novels. And this one just absolutely fit the bill. You can read it any time of the year. You don't have to wait till the holidays, but it was super delightful. And the number one pick, this one did actually officially come in at number one because I love this one so much. And I think for a lot of people who might be a little weary of romance because of the adult content in it, but you still want to try a Jill Shalvis, you definitely want to try this one. And this is Lost and Found Sisters, and it is the first book in the Wildstone series. This is a women's fiction novel, and it deals more with the family aspect than it does with a romance. There is a romance in this story. And the story is essentially about a woman by the name of Quinn, who has just lost her sister, or no, not just. She lost her sister in a car accident. And then she is kind of getting her life back on track. And she ends up getting, this lawyer ends up tracking her down. I'm sorry, I'm just checking my notes to make sure. Because I've read so many of the different stories in the Wildstones, I was trying to remember exactly which one this one was. But as soon as I read it, I'm like, yes, this is the one. And this lawyer ends up tracking her down, and he's like, you know, someone has left you something in this small town called Wildstone, which is in Northern California. So she travels to Northern California, and this is a story about found family, and it was so good. I was so impressed with this story so much. I mean, her characters, Jill Shalvis's characters, are just brilliant. They are witty, they are fun, they are individuals. Like, you know when you're reading The Heartbreaker Babe that this is Lila, that this is Ivy, that this is, who was the last one I just read about? This is Sadie, you know what I mean? Like, you know individually who these characters are. They have great personalities. They're not just cookie cutters of the same characters remanufactured over and over again. Absolutely delightful. But yeah, if you're looking to try Jill Shalvis, but you're a little hesitant for her more spicier works, definitely check out the Wildstone series. I think there's now 4 books in the series. I've read the first. I think the only one I haven't read yet is the Lemon Sisters, which I'm hoping to get to this summer, so we shall see. But yeah, so anyway guys, there is my video, my top 5 of Jill Shalvis. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this. Also, as a side note for Jill Shalvis, if you don't follow her on Instagram and you are interested in seeing pictures of animals, both dogs and cats, mostly dogs, pictures of her cute little granddaughter, or pictures of where she lives in Lake Tahoe, then you definitely need to go ahead and follow her on Instagram. She is amazing. Like, the pictures that she posts are just delightful. And my favorite thing about her is that she often posts pictures of her children. Now, these are grown children, like she has a grandchild. But what I love is that she doesn't name them to let them kind of keep their, let them be a little bit anonymous in a way. But she calls them oldest, middle, and youngest. And I just think that's adorable. I don't know what it is, but I find it so charming. But yeah, I've got a little picture up here kind of like of her feed, so you can kind of see what it would look like. But yeah, you need to follow her on Instagram, especially in the wintertime when they get a ton of snow in Lake Tahoe. And there was one, I think last winter, where she was standing beside this thing of snow that was like ridiculously like taller than her. But yeah, an absolute delight. Sorry, that was just a side note that I wanted to point out. But anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments below. Have you read any of these and what did you think about them? Or what is your favorite Jill Shalvis novel? Also, are there any videos that you guys want to request for me to do? Please let me know that as well in the comments below, and I'd love to add them to my list and get to them and do those videos for you guys. So, until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.